We've got the national camp coming up next weekend. We're pretty excited, the 10th, 11th and 12th of October here on the Gold Coast. So if you're a So Kyokushin member or not, and you'd like to come and join us for some pretty interesting training, we've got Mitch is doing a session on his athletic development, strength conditioning training, and I'll be in a few sessions. We've also got a very special guest. Sensei Gary O'Neill is coming along to teach at the seminar as well. So fantastic. Come and join us if you like. Today we're going to literally look at one technique, and that technique is called Kesa-Gatame. Gatame in Japanese is a hold down technique, okay, control technique. Kesa-Gatame, we've done a video on it before, but we're going to do a couple of variations today. Kesa-Gatame, Kesa refers specifically to a type of collar that the Buddhist priests wear when they have their coat, their jacket on, and it comes around and goes down one side. Okay, and so that's because of that shape. This is why it's called Kesa-Gatame, because what you actually do, it's a scarf hold on one particular side. So we're going to look at that. There are 3 fundamental variations. I'm sure there's 100 variations if you wanted to, but in Japanese there's Hon Kesa-Gatame, which means that's the main Kesa-Gatame. Then there's Kuzure Kesa-Gatame, that means the broken Kesa-Gatame, and then there's Gyaku Kesa-Gatame, or reverse Kesa-Gatame. When I train, I use Hon Kesa-Gatame and Gyaku Kesa-Gatame quite a lot. Kuzure Kesa-Gatame I don't use so much because, and there's a good reason for it, because I don't think you have the same control of their head. Having said that, it offers, we worked on it today, and it does offer things that you may not have in the other Kesa-Gatame. There are some key points in Kesa. This is Hon Kesa. As a fundamental rule, it's the elbow that you need to control. And today we're looking at this Kesa from the viewpoint of karate guys who have never grappled. And you may find yourself in a need to control someone for a long length of time. Okay, and Kesa is a great way to do it. Here we are. The most important thing to remember is I want to control that arm. My leg comes in here. This leg doesn't lie down. Some people tell you should lie down because if I don't, Mitch can hook his leg over and catch me there. That's to Mitch's problem, because now I'm just going to crunch him. Just use my... Actually, that's worth showing. A lot of... He comes on his side and he'll dig his foot over. And people say that's a way to escape, because the next step is now he pulls on his foot and escapes his head out the back door. And that's the theory. In reality, if he does that, I'm just going to do my thigh master and squeeze my thighs together, and it's a horrible thing to do to yourself. Okay, so you don't want to do that. I need this foot up, get pressure. Right now I'm sitting with my butt on the mat. I don't want to do that. I'm only doing it because there's a lot of pressure on Mitch's ribs. If I don't, but in reality I want to lift my butt off the mat, I say the thickness of a piece of paper. Just like there's, how much pressure is there, Mitch? 1 or 2 out of 10. So it's 1 or 2 out of 10. And then I lift my butt up and start to roll it over. Now it picks it up to 6 or 7 out of 10. It's very hard for him to breathe. The other thing I need to watch out for is if he gets his hands connected behind me, he has certain escapes that he can do. So I like to avoid that by capturing this arm here. See that? Now I have his elbow. And at any time I can crank that elbow up here like that. So if you want, I can make sure that this knee is here and I can crank there. Okay? First thing I want to remember is if he brings that arm in front of my face and pushes me back, I can lose balance and he steps away and he escapes like that. So, from Mitch's viewpoint, he needs to observe my legs. If my leg's south, he's definitely not getting out that way. But that means he has another escape the other way. Yes, like that, which we won't do. Okay? So as the person on top, I want to make sure that my legs are mobile. I'm micro-adjusting when necessary. And if Mitch starts to throw me away that way, I'm going to brace out there, etc. So this is the Hon Kesa position. I like to catch that elbow there because of that crank. Okay, so I'm in this position, nice and strong. I have this grip here. I even like to turn this hand up a little bit. See that? So now my radius bone is pinching into the back of his head as well. These are all very strong. From this position, if you need to hold someone down for a long, long time, the best thing you could do is slide this hand down the leg. If he bends his arm up there, and if I can hook, I can capture this arm here. See that between my legs? And capture this arm here. So now I've taken both arms out of commission. If he tries to punch me, he can't. If he tries to headbutt, he can't. And any time I need to control his head, I can do that quite easily. Time you misbehave, you bitch slap him a little bit. Okay. They've also got cutting arm bars here. Okay, and if he brings his arm in front of your face to do something, you've got arm bars there. Okay, so this is a really good. Sorry, you won't. This is a really solid position. Okay, the next Kesa is what's called Kuzure Kesa. So instead of the arm being around the head and my hand connecting to create a pillow, remember this elbow escape is everything. So if I'm slack here and that elbow gets away, he's out of the position. Okay, and I don't want that to happen. So I connect my hand here to my leg. Kuzure Kesa is under here. This is the one that I don't use so much, but it has a lot of things going for it. Okay. Once again, I'm compromised. My butt's on the mat because I'm looking after my training partner. But in reality, I'll move forward the top of his chest and I'll increase that pressure so that now I'm relaxed, except I'm pushing off my leg, but it's hard for your partner to breathe. Okay. Now, generally speaking, because I don't have control of the head, you can argue that there's more opportunity to escape. But I just want to show you one single technique I call the punch through. If he brings the arm in front of my face, and if you do BJJ, watch this very carefully because I think it's one of the hidden gems of BJJ. If he brings that arm in front of my face, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to push my head back and maybe hook his leg over and escape, all that stuff. Okay? But I know he's going to do that. So when he brings the arm in front, watch, I take my seiken and I punch through. See, like that? I just do a punch. And see how that compromises his arm? And I drop my elbow next to his head. Now, if it's a street fight and I really need to deal with this guy, he brings that arm in front, tries to gouge my eye out. Well, I'm going to punch through and then elbow back into his head, like that. I think you'd probably only need 3 or 4, and you'd be unconscious. We've also got the pressure elbow there on the cheek. Okay, but from a grappling viewpoint, because we all love each other, we're not going to hurt each other like that. As that arm comes in front of my face, I punch through, drop my elbow. Now watch this. I pop my hand underneath his arm. That's all I do. And then I rotate it. And this is super strong. That'll tear your shoulder right out. Okay, no need to use 2 hands, but if you want to use 2 hands, do so. Just be wary that now you're letting his elbow escape. His elbow and he can get out of the whole thing. So when I do it, I'm here, I come forward, I punch through, I get my elbow low on his ear, and I pop this. I squeeze this. I make sure my knee is up high. So if he tries to escape, that elbow runs into my thigh. Good. And then this hand goes under, up, and I rotate. I don't straighten or anything like that. I simply rotate. So you can see what I'm doing is this movement on his shoulder. Okay, but I do it here, and I leave all my pressure. I'm doing it gently for Mitch's sake, but I put all my pressure on his body, and you get a tap very fast. And if the situation was such that okay to hurt this guy, you rip your arm up like that, and you tear the shoulder right out. Okay. Also, what you can do here is turn it into this sort of Americana situation as well. That's for Paddy and anyone else who does BJJ. So I'm in broken Kesa. He brings that arm in front to frame. I follow it and I punch through, and then I come back with my elbow next to his ear. I pick this up and put my hand here, and all I do is rotate. Okay? And if this elbow starts to escape, I continue through with Americana. Switch my hip. I can't switch my hip if I'm too high on the chest, so I actually move down a little bit and then switch my hip. Look, you can even go one-handed here, there, and this hand is still free to control his head, etc. Okay. Sometimes when you get here, they somehow start to escape this elbow. As they escape the elbow, I'm going to go double C grip on his wrist. See that? Now his wrist is smaller than his hand, so it's very hard for him to pull the hand out. Then all I do is I sit out, and you get, I'm putting pressure here, and it's an arm bar. In broken Kesa, the arm's under the arm. He frames up in front of the face, pushes me back. I punch through, come back, get my arm, come in here. He starts to escape this elbow. I continue this arm, slide out, and put pressure on the elbow. If you didn't care, if he was someone that, you know, the circumstance allowed for it, then you just put more and more pressure on the tricep and the elbow and rip that arm up like that and snap the elbow. Okay, now for the next one's called Gyaku Kesa. So it's called Gyaku Kesa because clearly I go from here to here. Just drop your legs. So now I'm in this position here, okay? I find this to be really, really good as a hold down. If he tries to kick me in the head with his knee, I'm too far away, he can't reach. Okay, I can put a lot of pressure on his head with my lats. Okay, I have access to his arm here. Just drop your legs, Mitch. I can take this arm and control it with one arm here. And I'm in this position. And as he tries to move his hips and so on, yes, as soon as the leg bends, I catch it. And I find that this is an incredibly strong hold down position. Definitely it's a very high percentage control position like this when you get under this leg. Another thing you can do at some stage is just cradle his leg on your leg so it doesn't take muscular strength to hold it up. His hand, I have control. If you want, you can start to put pressure, but I'm leaning on his head. I'm not because it's Mitch, but in reality, I'd be leaning on his head with my ribs moving north like that. This is Gyaku Kesa, reverse Kesa. So I'm in this position now. What I'm going to do is I have control of his arm and wrist. I'm going to punch that through and sit up. I can even sit up here. Bang. Another thing that's worth looking at too is sometimes guys bring the leg over and put the foot on the mat. This is a little secret that I really like. When I'm in this position, I bring the leg over, but I put it on the mat, but then I lift it up, and now I push his head down. But for this technique here, and we come all the way through here, I can even reinforce here, come up there like that, and put pressure. So that's Gyaku Kesa, where you find yourself in this position. Easy to get into. You can be in what's called side control. When I go into V-hub, he sometimes gets this elbow in as the first line of defense. So I'm just going to push his head in, drop back, and then sit back on his head and arm. If this arm is here, I can control it. If his legs come up, I can control it. And this is a really good hold. I literally think I could sit here for an hour watching TV, and every time Mitch tried to explode out of it, I just micro adjust for a little bit, and then in 30 seconds, Mitch would be burnt out again, and then you just go back. Remember too, look, if I hold his forearm here and Mitch fights to straighten his arm, he'll get it every time. Once again, we're going to really fight it. But if I go down, I call it the 3-in-1. I put 3 fingers on his hand, 1 on his wrist. Now he fights to straighten his arm. And I'm literally using a fraction of the energy. So be very accurate. I call it Star Wars clone. You have to be very accurate with your gripping. See that? And right down there on the hand. So now when Mitch tries to get his hand out, he has 0 chance. But if I go up here that far, now he'll get out of it. And even if he can't get out of it, the amount of energy I have to spend to control it, as opposed to that. Now he tries to get out. It's just like, it's not even worth him trying. Okay? And if I get the leg up here on my leg, there's like now he tries to move his hips. Try to explode out of it. And if you want, you just lean forward and then you've got a shoulder lock there. So there you have it. There are 3 different forms of Kesa-Gatame. And I really think they're important for non-grapplers because they're easy to learn, they're low energy, and they can really control a strong person for a long time. What's your input, Mitch?
It's difficult to see through the video, but the pressure, even though Xian was being fairly gentle, the pressure when he was doing Kesa, all the 3 variations of Kesa is just extreme on the head. When you put your lat on the head, the pressure on the ribs here, it's, as you've said many times, there's 8 positions in Jiu-Jitsu, essential grappling, and this is the one position that you can just get a tap from the position alone. And if he was doing that hard on me, especially on this floor, it's basically concrete with a little bit of carpet, I would tap.
So this is really a very high pressure position. Of course, Rome wasn't built in a day. So to get really good at it, to get so that where you can feel the movement and the balance and their opportunities to escape and everything, it's a bit of time. But everything is like that. Keep working at it consistently, regularly over a long period of time.
And something else, Xian, is your grips. When you were saying before the 3-in-1, and you were very specific in how we grip, that just makes such an enormous difference. Again, I'm not sure if it comes through on the video, but it's so different if someone gripping you, that part of the forearm versus that hand when you're trying to do those internal arm locks. It's just a complete game changer.
I call it the 3-in-1 grip. So in case if I'm doing this grip here, I can hold Mitch on the forearm here. Now, if Mitch, there's very little I can do. So what I do is I put 3 fingers on his hand and 1 finger on his wrist, and I rotate. Now pull that out. I mean, it's a joke.
But I can try.
It doesn't even try. I can go thumb in, thumb out. What I also do, if he is super strong, I'll even take the hand from here and I'll put it on top of my own hand. Now I have 2 hands on his wrist, and the chances of him getting out, I think, are really, really slim. And if I want to get the tap, I simply slide my elbow into his ribs, bring that hand towards his shoulder, and keep sliding my elbow up to his solar plexus. Could you imagine if I had his arm locked up? That 3-and-1, that alone is a game changer when it comes to grips. So anyway, we just thought we'd show you that Kesa today because we've been doing some Kesa this week. Mitch did some Kesa today. Did we do any in the morning?
Not this morning.
No, we did it at lunchtime today. We focused on broken Kesa today, or Kuzure Kesa. It really is very tight, and they really are fantastic positions. If you're a non-grappler, if you can learn that one position, it gives you tremendous control over someone. Can a non-grappler control someone in that position if they've grappled extensively? I don't think so. A good grappler has half a dozen different ways of getting out of that. But for a non-grappler, all the ways that are intuitive, all the escape routes that you would intuitively go to, they don't work. Okay, so it is definitely a learned system of escapes from Kesa.
And one last thing, Xian, that was one technique that you showed, or 2 techniques today that that you showed on the video here today, but there's a flow that goes to 3, 4, 5 techniques that you can do down the track with that as well. If the first one, if the second one, third one does. So you've got these decision trees that you create.
Yes. Our training partner, Professor Mike Mead, he uses the phrase decision tree. It's fantastic. If you do that, they can either do this or this. If they do that, you either do this or this. And it's like a tree. Well, like Mitch is saying, we showed 2 techniques there today, but if the first fails, go on to the second fails, there's actually a third. If the third fails, there's a fourth and a fifth and a sixth. So each one flows into the next if they escape. Find ways that make your technique not work. So in karate, I call it, how would I beat me? I analyze my own fighting and say, how would I beat me? And you know your weaknesses better than anyone in the world. So we use that system to develop and strengthen your own game. We say to ourselves, how would I beat me? And you use that as a formula to keep working on your weaknesses, make your weaknesses strong, make your strength stronger. Fun stuff. Where's Craig? Reverse Kesa is great for mounting too. That's right. Is it worth training judo in gi for MMA? I can tell you now, there is no one in the world that has stand-up throws with a gi better than a judo player. So by all means, your time won't be wasted. You just have to choose your training content very carefully, because many judo schools, nothing wrong with it, are very traditional. So you go through a very, very systemized program from white belt on. But if you want to learn it for MMA, you find a judo teacher and you tell him, I want to focus on the good throws and the good controls. Because a lot of judo throws are no good for MMA because they actually compromise your position. If you go online and look up 100 judo ippons or something, you'll find that a lot of the judo throws can't be used in MMA because they compromise your back too much, or the throw you land in a very compromised position. Look, there you go, folks. I'm just going to show you what Craig mentioned too. Craig mentioned they're good for the mount. So reverse Kesa is in this position here like this with a lot of pressure on the head. Sometimes people lazily take the leg over and he catches my leg, or he catches it between his legs, or something like that, and I've compromised my position. So you can't do it that way. You have to do it. There's a number of ways. The first way that I learned is I call the fly swat. I'm going to lift my leg high and swat down on the fly on the other side. So I'm here like this, and timing it, and then over there, and then go straight into the next way, just turn around a little bit. The next way is I'll actually take my toe. See this? I'll hold my toe and I'll glide it across his body. So now if he tries to stop it with his knee, see that? I can bring my toe higher than he can bring his knee. And I can now that way. Another way is I can literally bring my knee. I'm going to switch sides. I can literally put pressure here and bring my knee to his belt line. See that? And then bring my knee to his armpit. And then slap it down and come in. I don't take the knee straight across, because when I take my foot out, there's a chance he'll catch my foot. And now I've lost control. So what I do is I'll bring it over and take it all the way to his armpit. So now when I bring my foot over, if he tries to catch my foot, he can't. Okay? So that's what Craig was talking about when he said, really good for going into the mount. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming along. Awesome. Good to see you again. See you next week. Awesome.